comma use. Using commas correctly really is very important because, well, it affects the grades that our essays can receive. And here's what happens. When we're unsure of where and when to insert commas, where and when to leave them out, it leads to extra commas, missing commas, and even more importantly than that, it leads to the dreaded sentence fragments and run-on sentences. And as we all know, those are serious errors that really can drag down the grades that our essays can receive. So even though we work hard on developing these good, solid punctuation skills, when it comes time to turn the essay in, you know you want to turn one in that's as error-free as possible with punctuation, and, well, that can be a scary proposition. All right, I should mention that from time to time in these video lectures we'll have some uninvited visitors, but they never stay for very long. And anyway, there's really no reason to get as scared as those guys. After all, it is just punctuation, right? But even if we say it is just punctuation, well, punctuation is important and it does affect the grades that our work receives. So here's what happens. If you're in, let's say, an internet course, well, you work very hard with these course materials that I provided to you, and you try and sharpen your grammar and punctuation skills as much as possible. And if you're in a class that meets face-to-face, well, you're still working with those course materials, but we also, when we meet in class, we work on these grammar skills and punctuation skills pretty hard during class. So you really have to say to yourself, I have to get my essays in the best shape possible, because otherwise you end up feeling like, okay, I think I understand this comma thing very well, and then you turn it in and there are errors here and there that you didn't catch. Hopefully they don't lead to fragments or run-ons, and you're a little disappointed in your grade, and you feel like, what is that old saying that, you know, you've got a little bit of egg on your face.
Hey Abbott, let me have an egg.
All right, well, he's not helpful. So, moving on from him, let's take a look at these sentences that I've had on screen for a little while here, and they have commas in them. And so we have a couple of sentences, and here's what we have in this. Let's look at this first sentence here. We have this conjunction, and. So, here's how you're going to figure out if you're using commas properly. What I want you to have is a formula, a method for checking each of your sentences that has a conjunction in it and figuring out whether it's correct to put the comma in or whether it's correct to leave the comma out. And it's not that hard. I'm going to show you this test you can perform on every one of your sentences. What you do is you look at the comma conjunction and you ask yourself, do I have complete sentences on both sides of that conjunction? If you do, that tells you to put the comma in. If not, it tells you to leave the comma out. So let's look at what comes before the conjunction. John went to the store. Well, it's got a subject, John. It's got a verb, went, and it expresses a complete thought. John went to the store. You could walk up to someone, say that, and it would make sense. So we know we have a complete sentence with everything that comes before the conjunction and. Now let's look at everything that comes after the conjunction and. He bought a gallon of milk. Well, that too is a complete sentence. You could say to someone, he bought a gallon of milk, it would make sense. It has a subject, he, it has a verb, bought, and bought, and it expresses a complete thought. So in this case, complete sentences on both sides of that conjunction and tells us that leaving the comma in before this conjunction was the correct thing to do. However, what if I took out this pronoun? When you could walk up to someone and say he bought a gallon of milk and have it make sense, could you walk up to someone and say bought a gallon of milk? No, you could not. So in this revision here, it would be correct to take the comma out. So what we really know then is there are some instances where you put the comma before the conjunction, some where you leave them out. And so if you perform this test each time, you'll always get to the right answer. But we have more than one sentence here. So what we want to do is we want to look around and see, are there any extra or missing commas? So we should look around, right?
Righto. Is he still there? Still lurking about?
Well, okay. Punctuation really doesn't have to be that violent, but... All right, well, according to those guys, we may still have some unwanted commas lurking about. Let's look at this second sentence. We have a couple of commas here. We have one after the word afterward, and we have another one here. Now, is this first comma correct? It is, and this is a different rule. Always use a comma after an introductory word or phrase that's followed by an independent clause. And so he went home and he drank a glassful. That's a complete sentence, so we would treat afterward as an introductory word and put a comma right here. Now let's look at what we've got left. He went home and he drank a glassful. Now we've got this conjunction again, right? And the way we perform our revisions, we go sentence by sentence in our essays, and we look for any sentence with a conjunction in it, like this one here, and. So perform our test again. Afterward, he went home. Complete sentence. He drank a glassful. Complete sentence. That tells us we use this comma correctly. It should stay there. But once again, if I take out this pronoun, you can't walk up to someone and say, drank a glassful. And now, if you turned in your essay with this sentence, well, I would be explaining to you that you had an unnecessary comma here. We would have to do that, right? So, I hope everybody finds this method helpful. If you just use this all the time and check each and every one of your sentences that has conjunctions in them, you'll always come to the right conclusion and hand in essays that don't have these extra and missing commas around conjunctions. So all I can say is, that's all, folks.